Thank you. I appreciate it. There was another second part to this that said that my content had made this person a better artist, and I really appreciate it because sometimes I don't know if what I'm doing is even worth it. And so this is very nice. Everything I do, my courses especially, are designed to make you hands down a better artist. That's the point of artist to artist. That's the point of everything that I'm doing, podcast, YouTube. So thank you for seeing that. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate you and anybody who has supported me in any way prior to today with my old YouTube and stuff, all of the people that are in my courses right now, all of the artists that are constantly engaging with my content. Thank you, because I want to continue doing more of this and I will need your support to continue. So thanks. My kit is an absolute disaster right now. As far as the Relavel bag goes, I mean, it's okay. I think it's the most efficient way for us to work. I have the one that's extra large, leather exterior, plastic dividers, very easy to clean, keep hygienic, so that's all good. The problem is those things are just like, can I say this, pieces of shit? Because can you swear on this? I don't know, because you just like the amount that we can put in that bag, the bag is not designed to carry that much, so things are already ripping, zippers are flying off, and I don't really know if a fabric bag in that style is really long term gonna do it for us. I feel like the plastic pelican style cases is really where I need to be going. I'm really over this whole the kit thing and the packaging and the depotting. It's just like, and half of these companies are the designs are from makeup artists and they're charging us $1 million to organize our kit. So that is also crazy. I did order some of the divided My Kitco ones, but I'm sure that's going to cost me $1 million in duties. So I'll keep you posted. I do, because that's where I came from. My first job was at the cosmetics counter at Shoppers Drug Mart here in Toronto when I was 16, and I had that job for I think 11 or 12 years. And that's where I got my training. That's where I learned about skin, about products. That's where I got the first bit of my hands-on practice. So for all of that, and not to mention discounts and just products for my kit and all of that stuff. So that's some of the good of working at a retail counter. It's really almost like boot camp for makeup artists because you get to work with so many different people, especially if you're at a counter that's busy and if you're working for a brand or you're working at a place where there's training made available to you and product discounts. This is a great place to start your career and you can make some decent money. Cons is that you're going to be working a lot odd hours, so it's going to be hard to balance anything you're doing on the side. I worked part-time and full-time at a beauty counter throughout my career, so it does become challenging because of the hours, but great place to start. For my older clients, I always lean towards products that are self-setting, especially on the skin, so I don't need to powder a lot. And more recently, I've been really leaning into more serum type foundations. So the L'Oreal, it's the True Match Serum is fantastic on mature skin. Face Atelier has been like, it's an absolute must have for working on mature skin. The Maybelline Serum Foundation is great too. It's a little more drying than the L'Oreal. So those are products that I tend to gravitate to. The techniques that you see online where we're, concealer and contour and, caking it on and then blending it all together and poof, like everything looks amazing and smooth. It doesn't quite work like that on more mature skin. Now I have clients that want that and they love seeing makeup on their face and they just love makeup, and that's fine for those people. But for all of my clients who just want to look fresher, a bit younger, have a healthier skin, it's all about that glow, that well prepped skin that's not overly powdered and covered with makeup. Those are some of the when I teach about color theory, I always remind my students that we're not really working with pure colors. And this goes for the products in our kit, skin tones, and even tattoos. So even a black tattoo is going to have some sort of undertone to it. With black ink, I think you'll find sometimes the black ink can have a green undertone, sometimes it can have a blue undertone. So depending on the type of tattoo that's in front of you, once you look at it under good lighting, you would choose something to cover the tattoo. The first layer would be to color correct. So of course, if the tattoo has a blue undertone or the black tattoo has a blue undertone, you would go to orange. If the tattoo has the black tattoo has a green undertone, you would choose a product that has more of an orangey red undertone to neutralize that color. And then I normally do that as my first step and then layer on products over top that look more like my client's skin tone. Products that I like are the 4K longwear creams. Those are my favorite. And recently I've been using a lot of Makeup Forever liquid as well. Similarly to the tattoo answer in the last story, I look at the rosacea on the skin, look at the undertone of the redness, I'll see what it is. And then normally when I'm doing a no makeup look on someone like this, I'll color correct with the foundation. So I'll take the foundation shade that matches, torso, neck, rest of the face where the rosacea isn't, and I'll mix in a little bit of corrector with the foundation and kind of place that on top. Usually I will sponge it on top or just sort of dab it, press it on top. I'm not doing this buffing motion, and I'll let it set, and that's as much as I'll do. I'm not going to be doing a layer of color corrector, concealer, foundation. I'm not doing all that. I'm covering what I can with the foundation that I'm using, and that's the approach that I take. And then I, of course, will carry that foundation throughout the rest of the face, do my multi-dimensional foundation application, light, and that's usually how I get things to work on this type of skin for a no makeup look. Hi everyone, we're going to continue the Q&A today. I should probably go where there's better light. Hopefully I'll get through all the questions today. So as far as what I use for a regular client, I don't have separate kits. All the products I use on my jobs are the same thing that I use for my bridal clients, special event clients. So longwear makeup, just prepping the skin properly, not over prepping the skin, making sure I have good setting sprays. I think if there's going to be sweat or humidity involved, that setting spray piece is really important, preferably a good sealing spray like the Kryolan fixing spray, sweat block underneath, my carpe, and then just having products that are long wearing, pro quality. My favorite foundations right now for that are Face Atelier, Makeup Forever HD, the liquid, and making sure that concealers as well pigmented, longer wearing. I purposely choose products that are longer wearing in my kit because I can use them for all of the jobs. Everything I'm doing, the makeup is expected to last hours and hours, so that's my process. Oh yes, definitely. I've been doing makeup since I was 16 and I started in beauty retail, and I'm gonna be 43 in, oh my god, 2 weeks. I just realized it's 2 weeks. So yeah, there's been tons of products that have come and gone, shades, whatever. The one thing that I think I miss the most, if you remember Bite Beauty, they had a really beautiful foundation and I used it all the time, and it was one of, I think, my favorite foundations that I've used because the look of it on the skin was amazing, and every client I put it on said, oh my god, my skin looks amazing. So that's the one thing I wish would come back. There's a million other lipsticks, glosses, like so many things from the early 2000s that I wish were still out. L'Oreal Rouge Pulp is one of them, if you know what that is, if you're old enough. Just things like that, but it's more nostalgia for me. I was definitely like beauty counter obsessed worker. All my money went back into the company that I worked for. So yeah, that's the one foundation product that I can say I wish came back. For me, the first thing is not to use concealer as primer. I know a lot of people use concealer as primer, but it cannot be trusted as a good barrier against oils on the lid. So that's one thing I don't do. I also make sure to remove any oil that is on the lid before I start my eye makeup application, regardless of how much time I have or not. It's one of the things I have to do. I also make sure I'm using a primer. My two favorite primers right now are Urban Decay, the original one, and P. Louise for that primer. The shadow looks a little different. The Urban Decay I use for really natural makeup looks, but those are my two favorite primers. Those are a must. I also like a waterproof powder foundation. The Maybelline one is another good primer. It just creates that barrier between the lid and the eyeshadow, and then just good quality shadows. And that's the key to longevity. That's really all I do. Brands that I like for eyeshadow: Tarte, Viseart, Patrick Ta, Makeup by Mario, okay. Yeah, those are my favorite. Oh, I have tons of tips, but just remember it is someone's wedding day. Make sure you're in a customer service mode. Make sure you're not overreaching with your scheduling. Make sure you have enough time in your schedule. And I guess when it comes to triaging your makeup applications so you can fit them in that time slot, Start with the things that are the most challenging for you, and then finish off with the things or the parts of the makeup application that are a little bit easier for you. Do any prepping you can ahead of time so that on the day of everything runs smoothly, whether that means reorganizing your kit, packing individual brush sets, disposables, whatever you can do to make your life easier, make your cleanup in between clients easier. Those are just some things I can think off the top of my head that might be helpful for you. Stay calm. That's another thing. Don't get too worked up. Just focus on what you're doing. And yeah, stay on time is another important one. That is really going to be up to you and how comfortable you are with color theory. Color theory is the basis of everything that we do, and it also dictates the amount of product that we carry in our kit and what shade range you need in your kit. I assume you're talking about foundations. If you are not strong in color theory, then you must stack your kit with foundations. It doesn't matter how much it's going to be, because you don't want to get caught on the day of or on a job where you're not matching foundation properly. You don't have a foundation for a certain skin tone. So it's really up to you. If you're confident in color theory, you can spend less. If you're not confident in color theory and mixing, or there's a certain shade range of clients that you're not comfortable with, then you slam your kit with as many options as you can afford of different foundations, concealers, powders, whatever you need to do to, survive long enough to get more practice and more color theory training under your belt so you can be more confident. This working with 3 foundations, 2 foundations, if you're not confident in color theory, it is going to bite you in the butt for sure. So start with, got cut off again. Okay, so if you are comfortable with color theory, you can do fewer shades. I like to stay in the neutral undertone, and then I'll have adjusters to adjust my foundation. That always works for me. When I'm testing a new foundation, I will always grab the neutrals first just to see if I like it, then I'll add more shades. I also know just from experience the type of undertones that I need more of, so I'll just grab those right off, so you can do that if you need to. And if you're not confident with color theory, one, make sure that is your top priority when it comes to investing in your training. Absolutely, you are going to need it. It is going to come in handy for you. And buy as many shades as you can afford. Could mean every 2 shades in a range, could mean every other shade in a range. Whether you use everything down to the last drop or not, it doesn't matter. It's just about being prepared, because nothing will hurt your reputation more than being unprepared or being unable to match foundation or put foundation on specific skin. Okay, so with this question, I'm guessing you're looking to minimize any of the puffiness under the eyes. Puffiness under the eyes is a very common thing, and with makeup, you're just basically using general concepts similar to art, where darker colors recede, lighter colors bring forward. So when you're working with anybody that has under eye puffiness, anything that you want to take down a little bit, you're going to use a concealer that is, 1, self-setting to make sure it stays, and 2, that is, I would say, half a shade to a shade darker than the majority of the skin on the face. I'm someone with very fair skin. I have a very puffy face because I'm usually very stressed and anxious, and my eyes get puffy as well because I have sinus issues. My concealer is about half a shade darker than the foundation that I use all over my face, and that helps take some of the puffiness down under my eyes. So that's the approach that I would take if you're looking to minimize some of that puffiness under the eye, or if there's any bags that are a little bit more elevated off the surface of the face. That will definitely be the technique that I would need to kind of understand more about what the end goal is of the makeup. If you have a fair skin with a lot of pink to it, that just means the client has a cooler undertone. So I would just choose a cooler undertone foundation if that was the undertone of the entire torso. If the face is flushed and the skin's very fair, that's something different. I would match the foundation to the torso, and I would stay away from blush that makes the skin look more flushed. A lot of my clients who are fair don't want to look flushed all the time, so I would incorporate more bronzers and things like that. And if it's actual redness on the skin, like rosacea, eczema, I would get into color theory and color correcting. So that's the approach that I would take for clients that have a lot of pink to their skin. I would say if the brows aren't staying put with brow freeze, that stuff's like pretty serious. Try a spatula and press the brows up. So brush the product through with a disposable mascara wand, and then use a metal spatula to push up, or a plastic spatula to push up the hairs and set them in place. That should work. You could also try just applying more brow freeze Sometimes more stubborn brows just need more product, and then try the technique of brushing it through back and forth so every hair is saturated with the product, and then really pressing the brows up. With the Viseart palettes, I think my favorite ones were the big pro palettes. Those were my favorite. There was volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, those favorite palettes of all time. I don't know if they're still making them. I find now a lot of the palettes that they release outside of the mattes, the bridal palette, just like the essential, the brights, those are all good. Anything that's part of their core offering, they're all great. The Viseart shadows, you cannot go wrong with them. I just find sometimes the seasonal palettes that they do or the special release, the color stories don't make sense for use in my kit. I don't need neutral browns and then like a green or a blue. I would rather have all of my undertones and things like that organized in separate palettes when I'm buying from brands, but I understand that you have to kind of sell to people who are buying makeup and want that kind of color story. But I think my 3 favorite Viseart palettes are those original massive pro palettes. I love those.